Commander Replay. Commander 2018 week continues with Aminatou, Esper, Blink. Can Esper decks win quickly? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, I want to take a quick second to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Aminatou the Fate Shifter. Today's deck comes to us as voted on by the Patreons. This was the highest voted Planeswalker deck of the Commander 2018 Commanders, coming in with 35% of the vote. Take a look at our opening hand. It's hot garbage, so we're going to mulligan that. That is a one-lander. That is no good. We go into a two-lander with a Vampiric Tutor and a Signet. This is reasonable. We can use the Muldrifter to draw a little bit. Yeah, I think we can make this work. So we'll keep that. So we're playing Aminatou the Fate Shifter, and this is an Esper Blink deck. A lot of people talked about, like, top of the library matters. I took a quick look at the Miracle cards, and I ended up with one or two of them in the deck, but ultimately I decided that the Blink mechanic got me a lot more excited than trying to mess around with the top of the library. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be playing a lot of creatures, and they all have ETB abilities. Hopefully no one lays down a Torpor Orb, because that would make me very, very sad. Turn one, we draw into a Mind Stone, so we'll play this Tundra and pass. Temple for the Lord Windgrace opponent. Today I am joined by 3 Patreon supporters that will make up our 3 opponents in this game. First up, we have Firemaker282 playing Lord Windgrace, a new commander out of Commander 2018. I keep saying new. The set's actually old. It's just new to Magic Online, so take that for what it's worth. Lord Windgrace, 2 red, green, black for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, +2, discard a card, then draw a card. If a land is discarded this way, draw an additional card. -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the -11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. Pretty sweet little commander. Be interested to see what's going on right there. There's a lot of good lands matter stuff in Jund, so once they get going, that could be a little bit of a problem for us. That brings it back to our turn 2. Draw into this Watery Grave. Let's play this Plains, then play the Ourself Signet, and pass like that. Next up is Arixmethes, the Slumbering Isle, a commander that I played a bit earlier today. Fun little commander. 2 blue-green for a 12/12. Enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. As long as it has slumber counters on it, it's a land and not a creature. And whenever you cast the spell, you may remove a slumber counter from Arixmethes, and it has the ability to tap and add a blue and a green. So, pretty cool. It starts out as a land that comes in tapped. It does make you 2 mana, but once you remove the 5 counters, it becomes a ginormous 12/12, and you can do some really cool stuff in that deck. Once it becomes a creature, any of the creature-based card draw in green becomes really, really good. And as I was playing it earlier, I realized that sometimes just being really big is all it takes. So, sweet little commander. We'll have to be careful of them. I don't know that we have tons and tons of removal to deal with a 12/12 knocking on our door. Getting caught up on our opponent's plays, Rakdos Signet for the Lord Windgrace opponent, Coiling Oracle for the Arixmethes, and a Sword of the Animist for the Kalitas opponent. So that'll bring it to our turn 3, and now we should just be able to cast our commander. That seems like a pretty good idea, right? So use the Signet. Aminatou into play. Nothing to blink yet. Let's make sure we get this land down. Ooh, tapped or untapped? I'm going to go untapped. I'm going to Vampiric Tutor for Solemn Simulacrum, and then we're going to lay down Solemn Simulacrum on our next turn. That seems like a pretty good place to be. We're going to draw and put a card back on... If we draw and put a card back on top, that's going to shuffle our library. Yeah, maybe we don't need the Mind Stone that much. Yeah, that seems fair. So we draw a... Ooh, hey. Yeah, I'll trade a Mind Stone for a Soul Ring. Yes, please. And we will pass like that. Continuing on our opponents, finally we have Kalitas, Trader of Get, 2 black for a 3/4 lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile that card and create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And then pay 2 and a black, sacrifice another vampire or zombie, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Kalitas, Trader of Get. Pretty cool little card. Basically, whenever a board wipe happens, the Kalitas opponent will exile all creatures and get a ton of tokens. Not something I've really played out of the command zone very much, but something I've seen in the 99 of quite a few mono black decks, and it can be pretty good. Sometimes getting 6 or 7 tokens is enough to start taking people out of the game, so we'll need to be careful of that. Oracle of Moldiah coming down for the Lord Windgrace opponent. Yep, seems pretty good. Showing a Guy's Blessing on top, so not getting all the value right away. Nope, looks like they hit their second land right there, so still getting some value. Ooh, that's a Heuristic Study. That's a pretty good one. Coiling Oracle swinging into the Aminatou. Yep. Kalitas just going to tap out and pass. We're going to Vampiric Tutor since our opponents are tapped out. Can't do anything about that Rhystic Study. Get the Solemn Simulacrum. And brings it back to our turn. We draw into the Solemn Simulacrum. Rhystic Study is about to draw a lot of cards. So play the Soul Ring. Can't do much about the Rhystic Study right there. Play the Solemn Simulacrum. We are able to pay for the Rhystic Study right here, so we'll go ahead and do that. Get a land card with Solemn Simulacrum. What do we need? We have white, white-blue, black-blue. We have a lot of double black in our hand. Let's get a Swamp. Let's blink the Solemn Simulacrum. Then let's get a Plains. And we will pass turn like that. So getting some nice little ramp going right there. Opponent's still not showing lands on top of their deck with the Oracle of Moldiah. Sad face for them. There's a big difference between the games where if you hit 2 lands off the top with Oracle of Moldiah 2 turns in a row, that puts you so far ahead against what will usually be going on board. When you don't get that value like that, it's not nearly as good of a card. So really swingy, depending on what you actually run into off the top of your deck. And opponent going to play their Lord Windgrace and plus, and it's up to 7 loyalty. That seems like a lot. This game probably going to be very long, by the way, since we have 2 Planeswalker Commanders, and Planeswalker Commanders have a really good way of just soaking up damage and making the game go kind of long. Oh, by the way, I need to talk about my commander still. So we're playing Aminatou, the Fate Shifter, white, blue, black, for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. The +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your life. Mess around with the Miracle mechanic. That's going to be the ability that you're wanting to focus in on. The ability that we've chosen to focus on today is the -1, which is exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So this is just an amazing Blink commander. If you're looking to play Esper Blink, and that's what we're trying to do here today. And then the -6, choose left or right. Each player gains control of all non-land permanents other than Aminatou, the Fate Shifter, controlled by the next player in the chosen direction. I don't really know what to make of that ability, quite honestly. I'm going to have to see it one time before I really understand that's implications. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we're just going to try to keep blinking stuff. And with that, opponents lay down a Prowling Serpentpod for the Arixmethes and a Kalitas Trader of Get. That's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw into the Urborg, so play the Urborg. We have lots of choices this turn. We have 3 ETB creatures in hand and 1 in play already. As much as I want to just keep ramping like crazy, probably actually need to play some removal. We'll have 3 mana left over if we play the Grave Titan, which is unfortunately 1 short of also casting the Crush Contraband. So I think what I'm going to do instead... Crush Contraband on Sword of the Animist and Rhystic Study. Not going to pay for the Rhystic Study right here, so opponent gets 1 last draw with that. Oh, by the way, I don't think I've ever actually played any of the Planeswalker Commanders before, maybe other than like 1 or 2 times with some real weak attempts, but I've never actually tried to like seriously assemble one and play it, and especially the first time doing a video on one. So yeah, this will be exciting. So Crush Contraband resolves. Rhystic Study down and Sword of the Animist down. That should shut down some of our opponent's value. And right here, I'm going to play the Muldrifter. We draw Ghostway and Enlightened Tutor. Did we play? I don't think we played a land this turn, did we? So we have the choice between Blinking Muldrifter and Blinking Solemn Simulacrum. Both are very, very tempting. But I think I'm going to go with the Muldrifter right here, since our hand is getting a little bit low down to 4. And then, yeah, so we draw into a Ravenous Chupacabra and a Strip Mine. We already play a land? Okay, yeah, we played the Urborg this turn, so we did play our 1 land. And, yeah, we're not going to do any real attacking. So I like this because now we've got some removal. Would love to get rid of that Oracle of Moldiah. Getting rid of Kalitas, also not the worst idea ever. And we have a land set up to play for next turn, which is sweet. And next turn, too, we need to see exactly how much mana we have left. I feel like opponents may start laying down some removal. We'll see what happens. But if they don't, we can do something like get down the Chupacabra, leave up Ghostway, and that'll be super, super sweet. Opponent's going to Gaia's Blessing, sure. The other thing we can do, too, we can go Enlightened Tutor for Blade of Selves, and Blade of Selves will be pretty good right here. Oh, hey, there's an Ulamog on top of the Lord Windgrace opponent's deck. They're on 6 mana currently. They have a single land in the graveyard. Yeah, we could be seeing that thing sooner or later. That's the indestructible one. We have some exile in Ashen Rider, so that's something. Dragon Master Outcast coming down, sure. And Cloak and Dagger. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, has Shroud. Whenever a rogue enters the battlefield, you may attach Cloak and Dagger to it, sure. Not exactly sure why that one's in there. Opponent decides to minus the Lord Windgrace and gets some lands. Now 6 lands, 7 mana with the Rakdos Signet. Gonna crack the Marsh Flats. That'll shuffle away the Ulamog. That seems like a good idea, at least for us. Opponent now showing a land on top. Plays the land. Ooh, now an Avenger of Zendikar. That's also a pretty good one. Unfortunately, we don't have like a great way. I mean, Ravenous Chupacabra Ghost Way is will give us some flash to kind of deal with that Avenger, but won't really stop the tokens from getting any bigger. Since Ghost Way is at the end step when they return. Swiftfoot Boots for the Arixmethes opponent. Yep. And Bow of Nylea. People need to stop running that card. That card just isn't very good in Commander. Yeah, I get that it has like a lot of utility, but I mean, are you going to use the +1/+1 counter outside of a +1 counter deck? Even in a counter deck? Probably not. 2 damage target creature with flying, relevant so little of the time. Gaining 3 life, yeah, you know. If you're at a point where you're going to die without gaining 3 life, then things probably went wrong already. And shuffle 4 cards from the graveyard. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. I mean, I guess that's all right, but it just... Sure, there are theoretical times and places where that matters, but for the amount of mana, I don't know. Bow of Nylea is going on the list of overrated cards for me, I think. Especially since the Death Touch is only while attacking. Death Touch for blocking is usually its best bet, because anyone who's played Innistrad Draft knows a 1/1 with Death Touch is terrifying. Kalitas going to come into our Aminatou. I think we can... do we give up the Muldrifter right here? Actually, it'll get exiled. So, think about that for a second. Actually, no, you know what? Since we can go for Blade of Selves anyway with the Enlightened Tutor, I'd actually rather keep the creatures around. So we'll just give up our commander. Since I was going to minus it anyway, it was going to die. So, you know, we're talking the difference between 1 trigger, which, yeah, I'd like to get that trigger, but I think I also want to keep our creatures around since we're already set up with Ghost Way and things like that. Toxic Deluge, huh? Definitely want to keep that one around. Play this... Oh, crap, I forgot to use the Enlightened Tutor. Oh, man, that's terrible. Well, that being the case, so play the Strip Mine, play Ravenous Chupacabra, shoot the Oracle of Moldiah, and then we're going to sit on Ghost Way and Enlightened Tutor, and we can send a little attack seize into the Lord Windgrace. Opponent will start getting some dragons soon. That seems like a problem. The other thing we could get too, we could get Panharmonicon. Is also super sweet. Kalitas went for a Diabolic Tutor on their last turn, by the way, which means probably board wipe, because that's the thing that deck wants to do. So sitting on the Ghost Way, probably going to be a really good idea for us. Opponent gets a 5/5 dragon off of the Dragon Master Outcast. Yep. I can never get that thing to work. Whenever I play it and actually have enough lands in play, it just immediately dies to something. So frustrating. So I've basically lumped it into 2 categories. Fodder for Skull Clamp, or a 1-mana card that I play late in the game and dies before I untap with it. So frustrating. Oh, and Oracle of Moldiah does get exiled, by the way, thanks to the Kalitas effect. Avenger of Zendikar coming down for our opponent. Yep, that's a pretty good one. Gonna get a lot of plant tokens. No attacks for our opponent. I guess the only thing they have is the 3/1. So that makes sense. Arixmethes still hasn't cast their commander. That's something that they'll probably want to think about doing at some point here. Gonna go for a Progenitor Mimic. See what it copies. A lot of good choices. I mean, we're playing an ETB deck, so many good choices. Gonna go for the Avenger of Zendikar. All right. Opponent also gonna get themselves a lot of plant tokens. Believe they've already played their land for the turn. Kalitas, by the way, does say if a non-token creature would die. So all the plant tokens will not create additional zombie tokens. There's still almost 10 non-token creatures on board, so that's still something. Opponent going to send their Coiling Oracle into the Lord Windgrace. It does have Death Touch, so this might eat a token. Oh, excuse me, sending it into the face of the opponent. So I think that's just going to get through for 1, and it does. Opponent down to 35. So Kalitas' turn. Did they search for the board wipe? I probably would have. They go for a Darksteel Plate. Not too worried about Darksteel Plate. I am worried about all of these Avenger of Zendikars, though. We're going to need to do something with those. Equip Darksteel Plate to the Kalitas. Sure. End step Enlightened Tutor. I think I'm going to go for Panharmonicon is the one we want. Because we already have the Ghost Way, we can do some crazy stuff. Grab Panharmonicon. And that brings it back to our turn 7. Draw into the Panharmonicon. Play the Panharmonicon. Oh, the question's right here. We could go Toxic Deluge and Ghost Way, and that would wipe our opponent's boards, and that doesn't seem like too bad of a place to be. But that does leave us exposed if an opponent wants to play a board wipe. But I guess, on the other hand, we'll also draw 4 cards with Muldrifter. Sold. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. So, Ghostway and Toxic Deluge. 5/5 appears to be the biggest thing on board. Make sure that's tapped out. Yeah, so I think 5 should do it. Kalitas gets 5 2/2 tokens, so we'll shoot some of those on the way back in with the Ravenous Chupacabra. And we clear out a lot of stuff on board. Ghostway is going to bring all our stuff back, and we get 2 triggers on everything. Sweet. Shoot some tokens down, shoot another token, Simulacrum, Muldrifters. So we draw Grim Monolith, Utter End, Angel of Despair, Gonti, use the Solemn Simulacrum. We're going to start going for planes. We do have a Maria in the deck. With things like Solemn Simulacrum, we can blink it enough to get a Maria active, so we're going to start working towards that, just in case that should become relevant. And our planes count currently is 5, and we'll pass the turn like that. And opponent's creatures all getting exiled, by the way, because of the Kalitas. So that was a good little exchange for us right there. I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth it, but after doing it, I feel like it was worth it. Opponent's going to Entomb, sure. Entombs a Dakmor Salvage. Plays an Expedition map. Cracks the Expedition map. Gets a Temple. I'm going to scry with the Temple. Temple for the Arixmethes opponent. Oh, opponent Croson grips our Panharmonicon. Oh, sad face. Not that we still can't do a lot of broken stuff, but we could do some really broken stuff with Panharmonicon in play. Contamination. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Contamination unless you sacrifice a creature. If a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead. Ooh, so looks like we're going to be on the Grave Titan or Gonti plan. We could exile Contamination. Maybe we do that at the end step. So draw for our turn. We draw a Duplicant. Opponent did lay down a Disciple of Bolas and got to draw 2 cards and gain 2 life, by the way. Yeah, I think I'm going to end step shoot the Contamination because it's going to hurt our other 2 opponents a lot more than it's going to hurt us, I think. We actually have stuff that we can do with black mana with the Grave Titan and the Gonti. So I think that's what I'm going to do. We're going to send everything into Lord Windgrace. Lord Windgrace down. That brings it to our main phase 2. Let's get Grave Titan in. Oops, overtapped. Play the Grave Titan. Grave Titan will trigger some zombies. And we have exactly enough to play Grim Monolith, so we can try to set up for a really big turn next turn. We'd love to find our Eerie Interlude or get back the Ghostway, just so we can protect all of our creatures from board wipes, but... Wow, opponent just taps out and passes. So apparently they don't have anything that they can cast with just black. That is rough. I mean, if that's the case, then, I don't know, maybe we leave Contamination? We'd love to catch one of our blue signets, so that we can cast Aminatou. Opponent's going to recycle 4 cards from the bottom of their library. That being the case, our opponents are locked out pretty hard in that Contamination. We're just going to leave that there. Also, since opponents are going to have to sacrifice creatures during their turn to keep that around, so... yeah, Contamination doing a lot of good stuff. We can still cast a good number of things from our hand. And opponents can't, and they'll be sacking creatures. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sign me up. So, Disciple of Bolas down. Ooh, a Sanguine Bond. Well, that's not a card I want to mess around with. I was going to equip the Darksteel Plate onto a zombie, sure. I am going to shoot that Sanguine Bond, though. That's not a card that I really want to mess around with very much. Don't know if they're running the other half of that combo. We'll play like they are. That one is the whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life, which, when your commander has lifelink, not a hard thing to do. So, yeah, no piece of that. That's going to bring it back to our turn. Ooh, Luminant Primordial. Well, we don't need that at the moment, nor can we cast it. So we're going to start with the Gonti right here. I'm going to go from the mono black opponent's library. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I think I like what they have to offer the most. Fleshbag Marauder or Soul Ring. Fleshbag Marauder? Seems good, right? Then we get down to the attacking. Send everything at Lord Windgrace except 1 zombie into the... Actually, no. Yep, everything into Lord Windgrace. Grave Titan will trigger. I'm attacking with a lot of creatures, but the only one that's not a 2/2 is Grave Titan, so, like, it's not as much damage as you'd think. It's going to be 16 total. Opponent takes 16, goes down to 19, and we'll pass the turn. Opponent's going to cycle an Ash Barrens, gets a Swamp, plays a Swamp, and just taps out and passes. Still can't do anything under the Contamination. Opponent's going to gain 3 life, so it doesn't look like they're able to do much either. Opponent Tectonic Edges are Strip Mine. Yeah, sure. And that brings it back to Kalitas' turn. Contamination trigger on them. They'll have to sacrifice. So down to their last token. Drops a land. Ooh, opponent's gonna play a Grey Merchant of Asphodel. That'll gain them some life. Not a ton of devotion right there. Only, what's contamination? 1? Yeah, only 3 devotion to black, so not the deadliest Grey Merchant ever, but every little bit does matter. Gonna put the Darksteel Plate on the Grey Merchant, sure. And we draw a Flooded Strand. Play the Flooded Strand. We should probably start thinking about getting rid of this contamination now. I think it's done enough. So let's go to combat. Need to send 16 into the Lord Windgrace opponent. There's 6, 10, 12, 14, 16. Send these 2 into the Arixmethes opponent. We'll leave Gonti back because he has Death Touch, and that usually keeps people out of attacking. So Lord Windgrace goes down. Arixmethes to 34. We're going to play the Fleshbag Marauder. Sacrifice a regular zombie. Suppose we could have sacrificed the tapped one. Opponent sacrifices their Grey Merchant. Should have did that backwards. Should have exiled the Grey Merchant. And then we're going to play Duplicant on the last zombie token. Yep, totally should have did that the other way. Oops. Didn't think opponent would sack their Grey Merchant first. They must have some way to get it back. Oh, non-token creature. Boo. Well, shoot the Fleshbag Marauder then. Well, that all went terribly wrong. Oh, we can choose not to. Yeah, I guess choose not to. Whoops. Bad turn right there. Opponent going to gain 3 life with the bow. And pass. So opponent sacrifices their last creature to contamination. They'll need more creatures if they plan to keep the contamination around. They should be able to recast their commander pretty easily. Now they drop down a Reliquary Tower. Here comes Kalitas. Sure. Board wipe would be terrible. It's Mutilate. That's board wipe. Yeah, it's real bad. Opponent now has many, they have 6 tokens. And all of our stuff gets exiled. Eee. Well, that's not great. Yeah, I probably should have gotten rid of the contamination. We need to draw into like another Signet. If we get another Signet, we'll be in pretty good shape. Yeah, I guess just pass. Ooh, Commander Sphere from our opponent. That means that they can actually start casting stuff. They can cast their commander at the very least. And their commander, I think, will still produce black. Zendikar Resurgent. That's a card. All right, some stuff happening. Contamination trigger for our opponent. Down to 5 zombies. Ooh, opponent put their commander into the graveyard. Rise of the Dark Realms coming. Venser's Journal. That's fine. Opponent gonna send everything into the Arixmethes. I think worried about the Zendikar Resurgent. Sounds good to me. They go down to 27. Brings it back to our turn. There's an Emeria. We have 0 creatures in our graveyard thanks to the exiling of Kalitas, so play the Emeria. Nothing we can really do yet. Could play the Restoration Angel, but it's basically just going to be a blocker. I'd rather get one of these cards down first. Opponent's going to play their commander, and they'll get to draw a card. Ooh, that's an Avenger of Zendikar. Ticks down the Arixmethes, and they get to draw an additional card. Bident of Thassa coming down. Seems pretty good. And a Mercurial Pretender. Enters the battlefield a copy of any creature, except it can also pay 4 to return it to its hand. Double Avenger of Zendikar, probably? Yup, double Avenger. That's not good. So the tables have turned, and now we're locked out by the contamination. But either way, I think, the mono-black opponent should be looking for removal right there, because that is double Avenger of Zendikar tokens, 2+1/+1 counters per landfall on 20 tokens. So yeah, I think they're going to want to be getting rid of that. Gonna end step Vampiric Tutor. Yep. Here comes a board wipe. I'd be down for a board wipe. Opponent resolves their tutor. Let's see what they went to get. You're gonna gain a little bit of life. Oh, they go for a Necropotence. Ooh. Darksteel Plate on a zombie. It's gonna Necro for a bunch. Does have no max hand size and 50 life, so they can go for most of their deck. Opponent gets, looks like 6 cards off of the Necro. We draw a Hallowed Fountain. So not helpful. Play the Hallowed Fountain tapped. Pass the turn. I think Necro was a very bad call by our opponent, by the way. I think it has to be board wipe right there with double Avenger, because, I mean, even a single land is going to make these tokens super deadly. And even though they have a high life total, Avenger will cut through it really quickly. Gonna return the Avenger, so going back to single Avenger. Play it again. Make another Avenger. Yep, recast the Mercurial Pretender. Yep, another Avenger of Zendikar, 30 tokens. Do they have a land? They can draw with Commander Sphere if they need to. Though you probably wouldn't, since Contamination is still down. Death's Presence. Whenever a creature you control dies, put X+1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the power of the creature that died. Do they have a sack outlet? Oh, there's the landfall trigger. So we might be out of this game.
Tokens, the plants are 2/3s. Thematic Compass coming down. See how opponent wants to attack. Not attacking for lethal. Those have Summoning Sickness. Those ones don't. Interesting. Opponent's going to block one with the Indestructible Zombie. I'm going to block as many as they can. Biden of Facet triggers a whole bunch. Opponent's still at 29. That's wow. Yeah, I definitely would have sent the second group of tokens in right there. Opponent goes up to 7 cards in hand. And Thematic Compass will flip over. Opponent's got to sacrifice their last zombie. And will gain some life with Venser's Journal. Last zombie down. Living Death. I don't think there's actually like that much in the graveyard. Supplant form. Return target creature to its owner's hand. You may create a token that's a copy of that creature. Oh, Living Death does get rid of the Avengers. Though there'll be another Avenger next turn. Alright, alright. Death's Presence triggers a lot. Opponent loses their commander in that exchange. That sucks. Fleshbag Marauder is back. Grey Merchant of Asphodel and Disciple of Bolas. Opponent sacrifices the Fleshbag Marauder to its own ability. Opponent's up to 69 life. Wow. Sacrifices Disciple of Bolas to its own ability. And remaining a Grey Merchant of Asphodel and a Kalitas. Opponent's going to sacrifice their Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Diabolic Intent. Now Grey Merchant's starting to look kind of deadly. Especially if they go for like a Reanimate right here or something. Cabal Coffers. Opponent's going to equip the Dark Steel Plate. Sure. Opponent going to Necro more. I think realizing that they have no max hand size. Opponent's going to gain 3 life with Bow of Nylea. Come on, big draw. Azor the Lawbringer is not the big draw we were looking for. So, we still in trouble. Yeah, I mean, now I really wish I got rid of that contamination. At the time, it was working well for us, but now it is hurting us very, very badly. And that was one of the things. I was also sad to have to burn our Ghost Wave so early. I really wanted to hold on to that in the event of a board wipe. Is this Genesis Wave for 1,000,000? Avenger of Zendikar, sure. Bunch of plant tokens. Right of Replication on the Avenger of Zendikar seems pretty good. So I think that's about 60 tokens in play. Landfall triggers 6 times. Another board wipe is needed. Octopus Umbra. Enchanted creature has base power, toughness 8/8 whenever it attacks. Tap target creature with power 8 or less. Totem Armor. Ooh. Gonna put that on the Avenger. Gonna put Boots on the Avenger. Gonna swing into the Kalitas opponent. They're gonna tap down the Kalitas. Gonna trigger the Bident of Thassa. So, Contamination and Venser's Journal. Trigger. Opponent's gaining a lot of life with the Venser's Journal Necropotence combo. Opponent sacrifices their commander. Keeps the Contamination in play. There's a Shieldred. That's a good one. Shieldred's not a board wipe, though. Opponent has a lot of power worth of tokens on board. Drana? Yep. So, opponent can put Darksteel Plate on the Shieldred. Opponent says they forgot to cast Damnation. Yeah, that would have been important. I was taking a look through our deck. I don't know that we really have tools to get out of this. Toxic Deluge would have been one of them. Crush Contraband we already used. That's going to bring it to our turn. We draw a Plains. Not helpful. So that's going to be game. If I had shot the Contamination earlier, I'm pretty sure we win. Like, we have so many tricks amongst the cards in our hand that blinking that stuff repetitively would have destroyed most permanents of relevance from our opponents. So, yeah. So opponents send in just about everything. I mean, we lost that one because I made a poor choice with the other end. I mean, if we shoot the Contamination right there, I think that we can keep our opponents out of the game long enough by just blinking Ashen Rider and Angel of Despair continuously. But the exile effect from Kalitas also hurting us, because if I sack this Flooded Strand, we'd have Emeria online, and we'd have all these great creatures to choose from with Emeria, and that would also have generated a lot of value for us, and would have also circumvented the casting cost bit. So, yeah, poor choice. Cost us the game. And it's frustrating, too, because we had so much cool stuff we could have been doing, so that stinks. Yep, opponent gets there due to our bad choice. Other opponent had a Damnation in hand, which they should have cast and forgot to do.